So I'll give you a brief background on what has been happening. Old Shorts wrote a letter of termination of their exclusive contract. This happened after they did the press conference. In the press conference, they said that they wrote their demands to Ador, and they gave Ador 2 weeks to actually give them the what they wanted. And then when that didn't happen, they said that they were going to terminate the exclusive contract because Ador has breached the contract. So Ador actually filed, so they wrote a letter of termination. It was signed by 5 members. And then Ador filed an injunction asking the court to confirm the validity of the contract that they have. After that, the Korean Management Association released a statement saying this is not valid. Like the termination is not valid, and this entire thing can actually damage the industry. Okay. All right. And then the Korean Producers Association wrote a letter supporting Ador and the Korean Management Association. Okay. So Korean Producers Association is just a group, independent group of different producers, and the Korean Managers Association is an independent group of different managers. Okay. So then Old Shorts again released a statement saying Ador should not interfere with their activities since the contract has been terminated. All right. And then a former employee of Ador released a statement. It wasn't really a statement, it was just social media posts saying that she was being harassed by Ador. And so Ador replied and said that the employee was actually trying to directly deal with a brand instead of going through Ador. And so they launched an investigation. They found out that they have reasonable cause. So they approached the employee, asked the employee for explanation, and everything that the employee was saying went against the material evidence that they have. And so they put the employee, on administrative leave and asked the employee to return their laptop. The employee took an hour before she returned the laptop, but it was reformatted. Okay. People, even if you reformat your computer, everything that you have done is still in your computer. So even if you factory reset it, even if you erase it, even if you reformat it, and there are cases that even if you burn it, it will still be there. Okay, the a lot of the data will still be there. Okay, how does that happen? Okay, listen well so that you do not do this for if you have any company property in your possession. Okay, listen to this carefully. The hard drive and many of the chips that are actually used in the computer, they're made of gold. Okay, when I say gold, it's really gold, like gold. Okay, so they're made of gold. Gold is one of the most it takes a lot to destroy gold. The melting point of gold is so high that they're actually using gold to protect the machine being used by NASA to produce oxygen in Mars. Okay, so all right, so they're in Mars, so they're exploring Mars, right? They want to put people in Mars. They want to go there. They have the Moxie, they call it the Moxie. That machine is the one that will take air in Mars or whatever that is and convert it into breathable oxygen. Okay. Now, for that machine, when it goes on air, when it travels from here to Mars, they need to protect it because it's sensitive and it can get very, very hot during transit. So to protect it, to make sure that it doesn't get destroyed or affected, they created a box that's made of gold to protect that, to protect the Moxie. And they said specifically, you can search this on YouTube. They said that gold is the only metal, only thing in this world that can actually substantially protect the Moxie. That's why they decided to use gold. Only gold can do what gold can do. That is how important gold is, and that is how valuable it is, and that is how unique it is. And so many of the chips that are being used inside a computer, those are made of gold. So if you think erasing it will actually affect it or burning it will actually affect it, no. It's going to take a lot for you to be able to really destroy it. That's why they're able to protect um, whatever is stored in your gold. That's one, in your computer. Second, the cloud. Many of the security features of company issued computers actually automatically save your data in the cloud. And when they ask you to sign something, when they turn over the computer to you or whatever that device may be, those things that you sign actually contain that they have the right to any information in the cloud. So, people, if your company issues you a computer, if they issue you a phone, do remember they can see whatever is in your computer, even if you burn it. Okay. So, this employee is in trouble, is what I'm saying. Okay. So, now where does this leave Old Shorts? Um, just remember that this lawsuit is not necessarily against New Jeans. They're not going against New Jeans. They're not dragging New Jeans to court. They simply are asking the court to formally declare the validity of the contract. That's what it is. Yeah, it is not yet there. So that's what it is. They're just saying, "Hey court, can you please just declare and make it clear to everybody that this is valid, that the contract is valid." What it effectively, while this entire thing is being processed, there are talks that it's going to take a year or even 2 years before the court actually makes a decision. In the statement that Ador actually issued, that statement was actually more a warning to everybody else except New Jeans. They're actually not really touching New Jeans. They're just giving a warning to everybody, brands, companies, suppliers, even platforms. They're telling them you cannot do business with New Jeans directly, or we're going to drag you to court. That's essentially what the statement is saying. Try, just try, and we are going to drag you to court. So this entire thing was really to leave New Jeans with no choice and put pressure on everybody else. It's a warning, right? So if you're a company, if you're a talent or whatever, and no one wants to do business with you, guess what you're going to do, right? You're going to have to do something, either file a lawsuit because you're not going to get work. Okay. Now, they may be able to have the financial capacity to actually not have work because they got paid a lot last year. So we don't know. But it is a brilliant move because it's sort of, to a certain degree, Ador is not really directly suing New Jeans. They're not dragging New Jeans to court, but they're also telling everybody else, just don't even think about it. Don't even think about working with them directly. Okay. So now Old Short's move is being positioned by some people as a groundbreaking thing, an unprecedented thing. Is so smart. They outsmarted the law, they outsmarted everybody else. But to the investors and the industry, and this is a nice word that I'm actually using, they're actually misguided because, dude, you're not, if contracts are easy to break, if contracts are easy to break, then everyone's just going to do that all the time. Even, and I've said this example the last time, even a marriage contract, if your partner is beating you up, which is a clear sign, a clear grounds for divorce, you still need to go to court to get that marriage dissolved or annulled, whatever it is that you're going to do. It's no different from this. Even if, for example, we are we have a contract with our phone companies and the phone company breaks their end of the bargain, if they don't have service or whatever takes, whatever happens, we still can't say, well, I won't pay you anymore because you're not living up to, you're not doing your end of the bargain. You're your part of this deal. We still need to go to court and tell the court, well, I'm not in contract with them anymore because they're not doing their part. Um, if things proceed just as what the Korean Management Association and the Korean Producers Association said, if Old Shorts actually just get their way and can just unilaterally terminate a contract, it would result in K-pop being unsustainable in the future. Why? Because then investors would not want to invest, because they're going to think, well, it's that easy to actually for our investments to go away, then I don't want to invest. um, that is why setting a precedent is very important, which I will get to later. The other thing is that there is now a very clear separation between Old Shorts and Mama Roach, which they did themselves. Old Shorts actually made an effort to separate themselves from Mama Roach very, very clearly. That means whatever happens to Mama Roach does not happen to Old Shorts necessarily. So if Mama Roach actually wins her case against Hybe or Ador, it doesn't mean Old Shorts will win. Meaning, if Mama Roach actually wins, it doesn't mean that Old Shorts will automatically have their contract terminated. These are two different entities waging a war against Ador. And it's so crazy to think that this all started with Mama Roach getting caught trying to take over Ador. Imagine that. This is her. It all started with her. She was trying to get Ador. She was trying to take over Ador, and she's trying to get New Jeans out of Ador. And now it became a battle of Old Shorts versus Ador, and she's out of the picture. She she basically kicked her own kids under the bus. Now, if Old Shorts want to be, if they want to be able to work and actually directly work with different suppliers, they're going to have to sue. They will be the ones who will have to sue. That's how Hybe and Ador actually wiggled their way out of it. Like, you don't want to sue. Imagine Old Shorts didn't want to sue in the beginning because the burden of proof will be on their side. So what Ador actually did is to also avoid the burden of proof by not suing Old Shorts, but they gave everybody else a warning. So now the Old Shorts will have no choice. If they want to be able to work, they're going to have to counter sue. So then the burden of proof is now back on their side. I think it's like another level of genius move on Ador's end. Not sue the group, because that will mean they will have to have the burden of proof. They didn't sue. So, but they still managed to put pressure on the group. Now, this lawyer Go Sangrok has a YouTube channel, and the talkies have actually been waging war against him because he has been analyzing the entire thing. And he is an actual lawyer, he's a real lawyer. So, of all the many, many YouTube channels that have been doing analysis in this case, including mine, he's actually more qualified because he's an actual lawyer in South Korea. Okay, so the bunnies, talkies, have been waging war against him. So they've written letters of warning against him, saying that if you do not stop your analysis on this case, we're going to sue you. And so lawyer Go Sangrok said, sue me, I'll sue you back, is basically what he said. So he actually emphasized the importance of setting a precedent, okay? Because he said that in this entire thing, one of the major things that Old Shorts is using as a proof of breach of contract is the internal document that was leaked. Remember, there's an internal document that was leaked, and they are saying that in that internal document, Ador or Hybe is trying to get rid of Old Shorts. So that, for them, destroying the brand, destroying the IP is actually a breach of contract. Now, what this lawyer is saying, in Mama Roach's case, what she said, which the court actually agreed with, is that she may have planned to take over Ador, but she didn't pursue it. So that is not breach because she was just planning to do it, but she didn't do it. That's a precedent. The court, when they said she's right, actually set a precedent. In this case, Hybe can also say, we may have planned to get rid of New Jeans, but we didn't actually do it. And now the court will have no case but to actually side with Hybe because they set up a precedent before. So that is the importance of setting a precedent. So if the court says, okay, the termination, even if it is unilateral, is valid, they're going to have to think about how that decision is going to affect future decisions. Okay. The other thing that this lawyer said is even if the statement ignore it was actually made, it's hard to see that the manager has an upper hand in the relationship because Hani is actually in the higher level. She's earning more. She's actually an IP, while this is just an ordinary employee. So in the eyes of the law, it will be hard to prove that she is putting Hani down given that she's in a lower level in terms of the ranking in the company. The other thing is that for he knows this for sure, he said that the case will have to consider how this is going to affect future cases. If they allow someone to unilaterally terminate a contract, future judgment will have to be patterned after that. Because if I'm a lawyer, I'm going to be invoking that precedent like there is no tomorrow. So investors won't feel protected. And given that um, South Korea actually highly rely on external investments from other companies, they're going to have to think twice about it. This is going to discourage investors from investing in the entertainment company. Okay, now there's a question that was sent to me. Is it true that the court won't prohibit anyone from working and will most likely impose a penalty instead of halting old shorts activities? So in other words, the court will most likely allow the termination, but they're just going to impose a penalty instead of forcing old shorts to continue working with Hive or Ador. The answer is that is a possibility. There is a possibility the court is going to say, okay, if you really want to terminate this contract, just pay the penalty. And the penalty is not cheap, as we know. Now, there is the case, I've mentioned this before, and several people know about it, the case of the three members of TVXQ who actually sued SM for the same thing, breach of contract. So they wanted to terminate their contract because they said there is a breach. This is the timeline of the entire thing. So they sued, they actually they held the press. Remember, the TVXQ at that time was the most successful group in Korea, and they were also very, very successful in Japan. In fact, I would argue that if it wasn't for BOA and for TVXQ, I don't think I think they would be moving in a very different direction. In other words, their K-pop's expansion to other countries would be much slower. So it was because they managed to penetrate a bigger music market than South Korea. That is why many other groups actually thought of doing the same thing. Okay, so so they said that so they filed the injunction July, and then by October 27 here, October 27, they said that the Seoul this not they said, but the Seoul Central District Court made a partial citation decision on the application for injunction to ban the validity of the exclusive contract of the three members. So in here, um, they actually they they actually said that you can't you can't force the group to not work, but this is far from over, is basically what the court said. So we're going to decide on how to proceed, but allow them to work. That's what the court said. Okay. Um, so things, they said they continued filing cases and whatever. Um, Avex is the partner of SM, which is one of the biggest labels in Japan. They asked Avex to terminate their contract with JYJ. JYJ would be the three members that filed the lawsuit. SM told AVEX, you can't sign them because they're still under us. So AVEX suspended activities of JYJ in Japan for 3 months of the three. So AVEX basically sided with SM because SM said you can't work with them. They're still under contract with us. Okay. Now this is a major thing. October 11, 2010, the Korea Federation of Pop Culture and Arts Industry sent an official letter requesting that JYJ be restrained from appearing in broadcasts. Now, there is a huge possibility that SM is very much controlling the Korea Federation of Pop Culture and Arts Industries. But it doesn't change the fact that there is an official letter requesting all major broadcasting companies to not work with JYJ. SM files suit against Warner Music Korea for injunction. Does this remind you of something? Anyway, for injunction to ban sales of JYJ albums. So they were banning the sales. Remember, Warner Music Korea is also the label involved in 50/50. Okay, so what happens was that after 2 years, July 28, JYJ and SM signed an agreement. All those lawsuits are over. What essentially happened was they reached an agreement. So the court didn't have to pursue with the judgment because the two of them just settled. And the settlement is that JYJ will be paying SM until they pay off the penalty. So the answer in relation to the original contract, is it true that the court could say yes, you can break the termination, the agreement, but you're going to have to just pay the penalty instead of forcing old shorts? It is very possible because that's what happened with JYJ. The court said, okay, reach an agreement, you can continue working as JYJ, but you're going to have to pay the penalty. So that's what happened. They kept on paying the penalty until they paid off everything else, which they didn't finish paying off until like several years ago, like 3 years ago. They were paying it off for like 20 years or something. So there is a possibility that the court will say, if you really don't want to fulfill your contract with Ador, you're just going to have to pay the penalty. The thing is that that penalty is very, very expensive. Okay. Do you have questions about this matter? Who is JYJ? JYJ, so TVXQ is a 5-member boy band in South Korea. During their prime, they were the most successful and most popular. I know a lot of people are going to say it's Big Bang. No, Big Bang was cool, but TVXQ was the most popular and most successful. So in 2010, they filed a lawsuit, 2010, something like that. So they filed a lawsuit against SM Entertainment. They were under SM Entertainment. 3 of the members filed the lawsuit against SM Entertainment for breach of contract. They wanted to terminate their exclusive contract. And the 3 members who sued formed a group called JYJ. Okay. But Old Shorts members that have a work visa doesn't that get canceled, and Hani gets deported as soon as contract is terminated. It doesn't get canceled for as long as, because according to Ador, the contract remains, right? They're fighting for the contract to remain. So that means the visa is still, being the sponsor of her visa, then she's still legal. Also, there are other types of visas that she can get. Let them pay $600 million. Carl is asking, how has your head not exploded yet? Because I'm so entertained. Just want to let everybody know that even though I am entertained with all of this, I am, of course, very, very conscious of making sure that the humanity remains. That in the middle, let's be sensitive of this, that in the middle of all of this chaos, there are real employees that are worried. And that no matter how unreasonable we think the parents are of Old Shorts, they still are parents, very concerned about their children, and they are just as worried. So imagine if any of you actually have children or has children, then you know how it feels to be worried about your children, even if you know that they're doing something bad. So you're still worried because you love them. And so let's just be conscious about that fact. Now, I won't deny the fact that I am very entertained with what is happening. um, will the judgment take 2 years? There were there were speculations that it might take 2 years because of what happened to TVXQ. The judgment didn't actually come until 2 years after. It was again precedent, right? Precedent. It took the court 2 years to settle all of this. So they're saying there's a possibility that it could also last 2 years. How can you not know DBSK? Okay, let's look for questions.